On today's episode of the Wild Party Podcast, I'm joined by Mary Sirois, co-founder of N-2 Water, a clean, eco-conscious hydration mix created with sustainably sourced ocean minerals and designed to turn ordinary water into a wellness ritual. Mary's background as a Division I runner and registered dietitian, paired with her husband's medical experience, led them to discover a huge gap in hydration. Most water today is stripped of essential minerals, and many hydration powders are loaded with artificial ingredients. In this episode, we talk about the science behind hydration, the challenges of sourcing clean and sustainable ingredients, and the joy and chaos of building a wellness brand as a family. If you care about your health, the planet, and want to build a fitness regime that works for you, this conversation is going to quench your curiosity. Let's get the party started. Welcome to the Wild Party Podcast, where we celebrate the visionaries behind vegan, ethical, and sustainable business. In each episode, we'll dive deep into their journeys, uncovering the why behind their mission-driven business. I'm your host, Stephanie Lahart. Tune in with me for passionate discussions about overcoming challenges, innovative marketing strategies, and the power of using business as a force for good. So whether you're an entrepreneur seeking guidance or a conscious consumer wanting to support impactful brands, join us as we explore the stories behind the businesses that are changing the world for the better. Let's get the party started. Okay, as I've mentioned many times on this show before, running is a huge part of my life, and that means drinking water is as well. But on those long runs, I need a bit more than the basic H2O. And let me tell you something, my first 5 marathons were not pretty because I couldn't figure it out. I wish I had met this guest a long time ago, because today on the show, I have Mary Sirois. And she is on a mission to revolutionize how we hydrate and how we care for the planet while doing it. Now, she actually is a co-founder of N-2 Water with her husband, and N-2 Water is a clean, eco-conscious hydration mix that was formulated with over 70 source trace minerals to support bone health, muscle function, and overall vitality. I'm telling you, I needed this like 10 years ago when I first started running marathons because I was so rough. So today, Mary's going to figure out all of my problems and all of your problems, and we're both going to lead happier, healthier lives and save the planet while doing it. So with that said, Mary, welcome to the show.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you so much for having me. So excited to be here and talk running and hydration and all these great things. So I love it. Thank you.
Yeah, and of course, I was so excited when I was first introduced to you because, of course, I'm very into hydration. But then I was like, oh, Mary was actually a runner, and not just a runner, an actual Division I athlete. Like, I mean, I laugh because when I would tell people, oh, I'm running a marathon, they would always say, I hope you win. I'm like, well, so do I. I mean, that's never going to happen. But here you are, an actual athlete who actually won competitions. So I'm kind of an honor to be in your presence. And also to talk about your amazing business. So, you did start your career not only as a runner, but as a dietitian. To kind of take me through the process of where all this stuff was milling about in your head before you and your husband sat down and said, we're going to revolutionize water because clearly it needs to be.
Yes, I love it. Yeah, so running has always been just a really key part of my life. I started running in high school with my twin sister. I have an identical twin, and we would drag each other out of bed, like, come on, we got to go work out today. And we get out there, and we both really just found this passion in running and ended up walking on to the college level team at Purdue University. But then from there, really fell in love with it, fell in love with the training, and fell in love with the team aspect of running. You know, a lot of times you have a running partner. I had a built-in twin running partner. And so, yeah, we just, from there, just really became a daily part of our routine. We both joked around. We had take like 9-month pauses when we were pregnant or having little babies, and then right back to running. So yeah, so I've been running a long time, still am an avid runner. I've slowed down over the years, but it's still like just a great mental break. And yeah, so just always been a passion, really, fitness and wellness. And so the hydration piece was always important. I think same though, back in the day when I was running my marathon, same deal. It was not a focus. And then I really feel like the Stanley craze came out and we all started carrying around our big, large water bottles, right? Yes, you got yours. I know, right? That's exactly it. And so I was starting to focus on drinking water, and then how do I make this water taste good? And I was testing other electrolytes out there, really for taste, not even realizing I need it. And then as we got going and realized there is an important piece of adding these minerals and electrolytes back into our water. I could get into that more, but that was really the impetus of this idea, was carrying around the large Stanley, and then what if we put something in there that was actually good for us? So that's kind of how it all played together.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people sit there and laugh and say, well, water is just good for you, just drink water. But you have to understand, when you're competing in any athletic event or doing anything with endurance base, your body needs to replenish, because when you sweat, you lose a lot of these really important minerals that you need even for brain function, right? So, when I first started on my marathon journey, I ran my first marathon in 2010. I had joined a marathon group and they did go over basics like that. But at that point, you know what? People are like, drink Gatorade. So I
Right.
drank Gatorade, and I ran my first marathon, and literally 5 miles in, I was doubled over and cramping so
Yeah.
bad. Like I felt like I'd been stabbed. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, it took me a few more marathons to realize it was the Gatorade doing it to me.
Yes, right. And the Gatorade, honestly, it is electrolyte. They are focused on electrolytes, but not to the extent I think that we're learning we need. And that is a big piece of sodium, actually is an important piece for hydration, and even maintaining that, water balance in outside the cell into the cell. So these electrolytes are these key factors that help that water get into the cell. So yeah, yeah, it's great.
Yeah, and again, it's not just like your body function, it's actually your brain needs this to function too, which is so fascinating to me as I've learned more about all of this. So, okay, so you were a dietitian, your
Mhm.
husband is actually a physician, correct?
Yep.
Evans is his name?
Yeah, uh-huh. Yep.
Okay. So at what point did you both sit down and decide, you know what, we're going to try and create a formula and then actually make it a business? Because there's always such a big leap between idea to action. So what
Mhm.
was it that really made you to decide, we think we can create a better product? And then
Mhm.
how did you go about with this formula? Because your formula is so unique. When I saw what was in it, I was like, I didn't even know. Like, I
Yeah,
wish it was 2010 again. You would have, I could have won a marathon, Mary. I
yes, that's
could
right.
have.
Let's go. I love it. Yeah, no, I think even just in this process, I love starting businesses. I've started multiple businesses. I owned a salon and spa and boutique right here in our little community in Chicago, and then had closed that and had kids, and kids' activities increased. And so, but I've always been a business, an entrepreneur at heart. And so I think just knowing I was kind of in between businesses, I exited, I'd sold my last business, and kind of waiting and watching. We have a teenage daughter who is becoming actually an elite athlete. She was Illinois state champion cross country and track as a freshman last year in the 2 miles. So kind of watching her progress. And then again, that hydration craze, we were testing electrolytes here and using them. And I think for my husband, just realizing like, hey, what if we actually put something in that water bottle that wasn't just a salt, right? And it wasn't just like even, sugar or carbohydrates, but it was actually mineral focused. And that is what really did spark our aha moment. We're like, yes, like knowing even as women and in just in the general health, population needing calcium and magnesium, our water is literally, we'll probably talk about this, but stripped. When we soften and purify our water, we strip out a lot of those minerals. Even going way back, my husband grew up in rural French Canada, and they grew up with a well. And he remembers that well water, of course, it didn't taste great, right? It has iron, it has calcium, it has magnesium. And so that is really hard water. And they grew up drinking that. And now we live in the suburbs of Chicago, and we purify, we soften, we don't want the calcium, we don't want the magnesium, so we take it out. And so that was kind of his idea. What if we put these key minerals back into our water? And really, knew we really wanted a very simple formula, very clean. And that even led us to find these ocean sourced minerals, and not just calcium carbonate. My husband as a doctor, was stopped prescribing calcium supplements because they're made of calcium carbonate, which is literally like that chalky limestone. And when we put it in, the bigger dose, our bodies don't absorb it, and it stays in our blood, and it causes damage to the tissue, to the heart. And so really he was saying calcium has fallen out of favor in the medical community. He's like, what if we put it in a better source? Like we do a lower amount. So we're doing about 10% of your recommended, daily allowance. And we're putting about 10% in there. And again, it's this ocean source. So it's a better form of calcium, highly absorbable, all of those key factors. So that was a long answer, but that was kind of, our discussion into like how to make our water bottle a source of wellness, and then what do we use to make that make this a source of wellness.
It was the perfect answer, actually, because there are so many questions I still have. So first
Okay.
things first, can you just explain to our audience what exactly electrolytes are and why we do want them in our water?
Yeah, I mean, electrolytes are it is the sodium, it's the potassium. They are these really trace elements that help inside our body. It's such a fine machine, but it really does help transport into, if you look at like, water getting into the cellular level, those electrolytes are really those kind of carriers that help get the water into the cells. So they are very important, and there's a balance. You need a balance. We definitely need salt. You definitely need potassium. You need magnesium. And so those are the important things for hydration. That's why we actually do use salt in our formula. And we are actually working on a formula with potassium, just realizing, hey, let's continue to really focus on the electrolytes. But in the same sense, then adding the minerals. And that, again, is for bone health. It's for joint health. It's magnesium is this mineral. They call it this like, magic mineral, because it's literally a cofactor in like over 300, reactions in our body. So if we don't have it, we're just not functioning properly. And so getting that extra dose of magnesium, that extra dose of calcium into our water.
Yeah, and not only that, we need these different vitamins and things in our body, these minerals in our body, in certain amounts at the same time working together. Because if you don't have one, you don't have the other. Like I remember years ago when I was trying to take some kind of vitamin supplement, and they're like, "Oh, well, if you don't take this, then take this vitamin with that vitamin, nothing gets absorbed anyway." And I'm like, well, that wasn't on the bottle. Like,
Right.
so here I
Right.
am like trying to figure out to be my own body chemist at that point. And I'm like, this is too much. I do not understand this all. So I'm really
Yeah.
glad there's people out there like you that are figuring it out for me, because I just want to run. That's my
Yes,
thing. Okay,
totally.
so you and your husband have this very powerful conversation of like, we know what's missing, we can do it better.
Yeah.
How did you how did you then go out about sourcing the materials you were going to use, because you use something called now calcified seaweed and
Mhm.
Irish seawater magnesium, correct? For your
Correct.
formula. So how did you
Yeah.
even figure out these were the different things you needed to do? And then how did you source them in
Yeah.
order to start creating an actual product from them?
Yeah, that's a great question. Yeah, and that's definitely, I think, a big part of our process. Again, I kind of referred to my husband knew he didn't want to use calcium carbonate. He's like, I don't want that chalky limestone. We want this product to taste good. We want it to be palatable. And so he started researching other forms of calcium. One funny story, and we knew we also wanted it to be, a pretty clean, in that sense, clean label, clean product. We started saving our eggshells, and there's this method where you can cook them on a high heat and then use a coffee grinder to grind them down to a powder. We tried that in our just really early days when we were kind of adding table salt and things like that. So that was kind of one of our early fails. We decided no. And it really was just hitting the internet, kind of researching where else can you source calcium. And he came across this calcified red algae, and it's a beautiful product. It really is. And the beauty of it, because it's a marine source, it comes with these 70 plus trace minerals. And when you were talking about like, it's there, minerals are cofactors, right? They're like these cofactors in reactions in our body. And you need them together. And so that is the gorgeous thing about this product. It has like the calcium, but then it brings along these 70 other trace minerals. And so we just fell in love with the product like instantly. We're like, yes, this has got to be where we're sourcing our calcium. And the company that we use that actually manufactures it, again, very, one of their key values too is the sustainability. They are, harvesting off the Icelandic ocean bed, and they're very careful about when they harvest and what they harvest and how they're making sure that it's being replenished. And so that was really important for us. And we also came to, just in our relationship with them, realize they also did create this magnesium, which is also sourced from these pristine Irish seawater. So they're both of our functional ingredients are marine sourced, bringing in all these other trace minerals.
Yeah, and I really loved it that, you were keeping a very simple ingredient list. It seemed very clean. There weren't any unnecessary sugars and things like that. I do think a lot of my problem back in the day, early running, my cramping was because of like these full sugars or these faux sugars that were just really killing me personally. So I could see totally, the need to keep a very clean formula is just key to
Yeah,
making sure you're getting what you need, but not getting what you don't want in it as well.
correct.
I also do love that you mentioned that you're sourcing sustainably because that is so important.
Yeah,
Even as we move forward, starting new businesses and entrepreneurs, we always have to look at, what is the cost for anything we're doing? Because every activity has a cost.
yeah,
And while we need these products, we don't want it to come at the detriment of the environment or to other people, indigenous people or indigenous environments,
yeah,
where perhaps, the stripping of it is worse than the product itself. So
correct.
with that said, what were some of your unexpected hurdles, like maybe during your product testing or even the
Yeah,
manufacturing process? Because you started with a very lofty idea. Thank
yeah,
God your husband has this background in, biology and chemistry, but like you still
yeah,
have to test the product
correct.
and get the manufacturing process down. So how did that all go
Yeah.
for you?
I mean, a learning experience for sure. I think they say it's like you're trying to drink from a fire hydrant, right? Like just try to get in anything we can get in and learn what we can learn. But yeah, the manufacturing process has been very interesting. I'm very much too like I want it tomorrow. Can we just launch this thing tomorrow? And it was so just yeah, it really stretched me to learn some patience and be like, okay, we've got to wait for this perfect version when we really feel like we're ready to go with it. And so I think even in that, the packaging, like we'd approve a design and then we'd be like, oh, let's make an edit, and then 2 weeks later, and like, here's your next edit, and I think even in that packaging, I would say is probably one of our biggest hurdles. Just because you get this flat, like one-dimensional proof, and we approved it, and then when it came back in real life, the font is so small. This is one thing I'm definitely like, we're changing. We already have this edited, but you have to like get the magnifying glass to see the font. But that's a hurdle, right? It is a hurdle when we haven't done this before. Now I know, ask for like a hard copy that we can actually touch and feel and see, And so that was definitely, I would say that process, the packaging process, was probably one of our biggest hurdles, just because I felt like it delayed us. And then, even on there, we realized like it says 12 to 16 ounces, to put in 12 to 16 ounces, and it really is best in like 20 to 30. So we've ordered stickers and we're putting those on the pouches, and, just, you are literally learning as you go, and you make mistakes, and it's part of the startup process. That's why we love it, right? So yeah.
Well, it definitely is a process, and you're right. It is all about refining because I have fallen that to myself as well. Doing something online to get it, seeing the digital proof and then you see it in person or in real life, you're like, this
Mm-mm.
does not translate. People will not get it. They won't understand it. And especially in a space like yours, the hydration category is very tough. It's very competitive. There are a ton of brands out there. There are some very big companies that are in the space. Everybody seems to be making an energy drink and things these days. So,
Yes.
when you were creating the packaging, how did you first start? Like, how did you find the designer that you were going to work with? What did that look like?
Yeah.
Or did you already have an idea of what your packaging wanted to look like? Because I
Yeah.
know, again, the
Mhm.
sustainability was very important to you, that you weren't
Mhm.
creating excess packaging.
Right, right. And we kind of say we have 5 core values, and that's purity, wellness, sustainability, innovation, and empowerment. And so sustainability really high up there for us. And I feel like we can keep pushing this envelope. We really started with a designer that we've loved, we've had a relationship with in past businesses. And so honestly, he really, even down to our color and our font, just really got to know us and our values and our mission for this business. And, kind of took all those pieces and helped us translate into, like I said, colors, our palette, our font, our design. And then from there, we just kind of outsourced the packaging. We had a business consultant that was helping us out at the time, and the connection kind of through the manufacturer. I feel like in the startup world, you really do lean on this person's helping us with this, and do you know anyone to help us with this? So yeah, so he kind of really walked us through the packaging. But again, I wish we had ordered that proofreader. I wish we had like just taken a little more time. But it's a very competitive world, and there are a lot of little startups like us out there, right? And so you just have to just kind of maximize what you're doing and the opportunities you have, and try to run through that door. So yeah.
Well, one of the things that I really think you did nail it was with your tagline, because it's so succinct and easy to remember.
Yeah.
It's just turn water into wellness. I mean,
Yeah.
that is a beautiful statement in
Yeah.
itself.
Yeah. And we are, again, and that was my husband, as he's been counseling patients. He's been in primary care for 20 years. And so, and every day he's in the community and he's counseling patients, and he's, really getting in there and helping problem solve. And a lot of the issues he does see is around deficiencies, right? Either mineral or, other things. And so for him to know, I don't have to prescribe a supplement. What if, we actually had something in our water bottle? But and even to the point further of him saying water was meant to have minerals, like hard water, the way he grew up, that water was actually a source. And how do we, in this modern world, put those minerals back into our water bottle? And so that was really, yeah, the easy, like, that's what N-2 water, like when we were like playing around with names, and that's another story, but we did have an early trademark issue. And so we had to change names and branding. And this whole like into, we put it into our water, and it helps transform water into wellness. So that was kind of the play on words. But yeah, so I think just having that opportunity to create something that, my husband's had multiple patients that, even as they've gotten a little bit older and they have dizzy spells or falling spells, and he actually has prescribed sodium, put some electrolytes in your water, without pushing N-2 necessarily, but in the same sense, that's kind of his idea. And they've come back and said, I felt so much better putting some electrolytes and minerals in my water, just one easy little step, so yeah.
I absolutely, totally, personally understand that, because my father is in his 90s and has had many issues where they are working on his sodium levels because of that specific problem,
Yes.
because of lightheadedness and fainting and dizziness. And you're
Yeah.
exactly right. And
Yeah.
as we get older and our body changes, like I've even noticed with myself, I'm in my 50s now, how I react differently. So even running supplements that I used in the beginning, they don't work for me anymore. Like I had to change. Once I
Yeah.
went through menopause, like I had to change the way I approached everything. And
Yeah.
again, I think that it's a big learning process just individually, like what works for your body.
Mhm.
And with that said, I mean, I know, okay, so first of all, the company name, just so everybody can know, it is the letter N, the number two, and water. So it's N-2 water. Just want that to be clear, so people, if they're already out there Googling you, they
Yes.
find the right company. Okay. So
Yes.
speaking then of educating our market and our audience, how
Yeah.
are you using your marketing and education to really shift consumer awareness? Because again, you're in a crowded space.
Yeah.
So what has been your method to really get your message out there and
Yeah.
help people to understand the differentiation and what you guys are doing, as
Mhm.
opposed to what some of the bigger, old school brands are doing?
Yeah. I love that question, because honestly, I wake up every morning and reprocess that question. It's a great question. How are we differentiating ourselves in a very crowded market? How are we standing out? And I have full confidence there is no other hydration product on the market that is focused on the mineralization of our water. And I really love that. Like, there's no other hydration product out there that has a calcium to magnesium ratio of 1 to 1. And we really are highlighting that. My husband with the medical piece really felt strongly, hey, let's do 130 milligrams of calcium and 130 milligrams of magnesium. It comes out to 10% of your daily recommended allowance of calcium and 30 of your magnesium. And again, that's just really our focus is this mineralization piece of our water and bringing along these 70 other trace minerals that are very important cofactors. It's like this, they're very mighty together, right? So that was kind of how we are trying to really stand apart and stand on this, like, there is no other product out there. Most talk about like how many electrolytes they're adding, which is great. It's very important. And that's why we have the sodium in there, is you do need that. We know that. But really our focus is also putting these minerals back into your water. So yeah, so marketing, that's kind of really where the piece we're standing on.
So I have seen you've been very active in social media, obviously using that to get your messaging across and interact one-on-one with your customers and potential customers. But beyond that, how are you really getting your product to the market? I know you did some, family testing and things like that, but what are you
Yeah.
using now besides just your website to get this product into consumers' hands?
Yeah, I love that. We are sampling like crazy. We really believe in our product. We think it tastes great. We feel very confident in the way that, everybody that tries it loves it. We've had lots of reorders. So we really feel like right now we're happy to get it out there. Community events, community races. We're sampling at some wellness summits. We're sampling at, just a few athletic events. Any opportunity we have to sample. So yeah, any race directors or any community event leaders out there, feel free to hit us up because we're just really happy to sample. We really feel like this is a big piece of getting it into people's hands. I've recently read Raising the Bar by Gary Erickson, who founded Cliff Bar, and he said that they would like cut up bars and sample at road races for cycling, and we feel really strongly about that. So yeah, just sampling, we feel very confident that when people try it, they're gonna want to reorder. So, and then eventually we're hoping maybe beginning of next year, we'll hit an Amazon launch, and we're being very strategic about our growth and not trying to set unrealistic goals. We're just taking the next step and the next step. So really happy right now with our website and just selling that way, but eventually excited to hit Amazon and other outlets.
Yeah, there's something to be said for having a product that people can physically see and buy immediately. For as much as we love online shopping, there's a lot of times we need stuff immediately. Like, hey, I'm going running tomorrow. I have nothing. I don't have time to order it. I need to be able to go to my running store and pick up my favorite electrolyte drink, which now clearly is going to be N-2 water.
All right, let's go.
So
I
with
love
that
it.
said, working with customers and just getting like feedback, what has been maybe some of the most surprising consumer feedback that you've gotten or something that inspired you?
Yeah, that's great. I do think the potassium piece is important. You kind of step out and we're focused on this, but I know, we have to come in with kind of these set thoughts, right? Sometimes, and a lot of people that are into hydration are like, well, I'd love to see potassium in here just because it is a key electrolyte. So that's been, I think it's very helpful. We love the customer feedback. We love and I literally just got samples today from our formulator, and we've got a new version coming hopefully in the fall we're sourcing potassium from powdered coconut water. So again, I guess keeping our focus too on this purity and clean label. And I think that would be the other piece of feedback that we've gotten from customers. Lots of attention right now on natural flavors because some competitors have come out and it's been, disclosed that a lot of companies can hide ingredients in like a natural flavors ingredient. You can hide other things, so that's been really helpful to know, like, hey, these are priorities, and to keep our label very clean. We're also working on our next version of actually not using citric acid. That's another thing that's really popular right now. There's there are sources supposedly of citric acid that are like a mold based, like a black mold based. Yeah, so that's a very hot topic right now. So again, just this awareness as we get the customer questions and the feedback, like, does your citric acid have mold? And do your natural flavors, what's in your natural flavors? So those have been really great. So that's saying pushing us, taking that feedback, pushing us next version. We are swapping out our citric for another acid that's whole foods based. So we're really pushing for our next, even our next version to continue to have, coconut water, just to be very whole foods based, just continuing to disclose and be keeping that value of purity front and center too.
Yeah. And then, like you said in the beginning, also because sustainability is so important to you, making sure these sources are something you want to be aligned with. Because again, things get very, trendy and popular in culture. And then we learn what is the cost of it. Like specifically with coconut water, everybody's like, coconut water, this and that. And then they learned, oh, by the way, in many parts of the world, the way that they're sourcing coconut water is they force monkeys into slavery to pick these coconuts. So
Wow.
there's been a big backlash and led by a lot of the animal rights groups like PETA, which I am a lifelong member of.
Sure.
And I'm glad
Yeah.
that that conversation's coming up because I didn't know that. Like
Yeah.
I didn't,
Right.
because also, we're so far removed from our food sources. We don't know. We don't know how
Yeah.
things are grown or where things come from. So we
Right.
all jump on the bandwagon. We all want quinoa. We all want coconut water. And then you're like, oh, by the way, you're stripping the land with all that quinoa that you're consuming. By the way,
Right.
the coconuts are being forced slavery by monkeys
Right.
that are literally abducted when they're infants and then they're
Oh,
literally forced into slavery. That's a
wow.
whole nother topic. But when I
Yeah.
learn about stuff like that, I'm like, at what cost does my health take precedence
Right.
over their life? So I'm really glad that that is also part of your core ethic, that you are looking at that because we have to know where our stuff is coming from if we really want to, I feel, move forward as a society that is truly intent on doing good for the entire planet,
Yeah.
not just for the limited time we're there. Like I shared with somebody earlier, I said, God, my dad's in his 90s. Like I guess I could live another 40 years. I mean, that could be a very good time on this earth, for this earth, or I
Yeah.
could spend the next 40 years doing really bad things. How do I want to spend my time, right?
Right. Yeah, for sure. And I think that is what we love even about where we're sourcing our minerals. We're almost taking this endless resource, right? The ocean is an endless resource, and we're able to get our magnesium from seawater, and then this calcified algae that just is growing naturally down on this ocean bed. And so we're not going the traditional mineral route. Even the farming, my husband really feels strongly that the over farming is what's depleted our soil of the magnesium. We used to be consuming a lot more magnesium in our diet because the soil was abundant in magnesium, and it would end up in the produce and the food we ate. And because we've over farmed and we've done this, these techniques that have really depleted the soil of magnesium. And again, we're going back to this ocean source where now it's an abundant resource of these minerals and using that. So yeah.
Yeah, and it's so important also that we do take care of our ocean because, although you said it's an endless resource,
Yeah.
we're polluting it at a pretty high rate. So we
That's
could potentially ruin that resource as
I
well.
hope.
So, again,
Yeah.
everyone just being really active and learning more about their environment and what actually goes into the production of whatever they're consuming or using is super important. It's not a one-man job. It is a
Right.
group job,
Yeah.
and everybody needs to be involved. But I
Yes.
do believe that you really are on the right track. And I know that you're so excited for
Yeah.
people to try out your product that if people go to your website, they can actually order a free sample
Yeah.
pack.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. We're just, like I said, we're just so happy to get the product in people's hands right now. We feel confident in it, and we've had such great feedback. And so really part of that is we want to gift. We want to give this away. We want to let people, we want to reduce the barriers and really give people an opportunity to try it. So if they cover shipping, which is usually around $4, and we'll ship it out. So yeah. And that is just, again, our kind of our heart of getting the product. We're not in this to, build, this crazy generational wealth. Obviously, like our heart is to actually, we believe in our product, and our heart is to get it out to as many people as we can. So yeah.
But speaking of generations, this is truly a family business. So it is you and your husband and your daughters also involved.
Yeah, she's our wellness advisor. she's doing amazing things as a high school athlete. Was second in indoor nationals at Nike's indoor nationals in New York as a sophomore, and again, like reigning state champ in Illinois right now. Was just has acquiring a lot of accolades and is working really hard. And so, yeah, she's been a really important part. We designed it with her in mind. She takes two a day. She came home for lunch and we were testing this new round. So, yeah, she's just a really important part of what we're doing, what we're building. And so we love that. And yeah, we two college age boys also very interested. They're into wellness and fitness. And so they were both, my one son messaged the other day, can you please send me a care package with more N-2 water? So yeah, it really is a family affair.
Well, that is awesome that your kids are actually asking for it and not simply turning a blind eye saying, well, if our parents are doing it, it's not cool and it can't
Yeah.
work. So clearly
Yeah.
they believe in you, which is
Yeah.
awesome. Now, you
Yeah.
did mention very early in the show that you are basically a serial entrepreneur. You've done other projects and startups. So what is it about Mary that makes her want to create things in this world instead of getting a 9 to 5 job?
Yeah. I mean, I do. I love building. I love seeing an idea, right? And being able to take that idea and work with it a little bit, craft it, put some resource behind it and see what comes of the idea. I love it. I love the like sleepless nights I joke around about, just like waking up in the middle of the night in a cold sweat of like, how are we going to do this? But I love it. There is just something about it that just makes me come alive, seeing growth. And then, yeah, how do we impact others? Like, and not necessarily by building wealth, but how do we say this is possible, right? Or to speak into someone's life and say, if I did it, you could do it, and just there is this piece, I think, in me of, you know, you just contagion almost of passing this like little spark and hope on of like, hey, you have a dream, go do it, And I love, I've talked about this in a few of things I've written of like, is failure ever failure? Is it? Because if we learn from it, if we grow from it, maybe what the mistakes we make actually help fuel someone else. And so I really like that idea of just how can we give back? How can we keep momentum going? And so if we're all moving forward, I think it's a win. So yeah.
I couldn't agree more. I don't believe there's ever a true failure. I think we're learning something from everything that we do. And it is truly the brave. I'm looking at the signs behind you. It is truly the swift, the fast, the
Uh-huh.
brave, and the what? And the
Um,
valiant
yeah.
that make changes in this world. Because before there was this beautiful Stanley Cup sitting on my desk, somebody had to conceive of
Right.
a Stanley Cup. And by
Yeah.
the way, I do love my Stanley Cup.
Right.
And
I know.
unfortunately, it's a gray, so it keeps blinking out on the video,
Uh-huh.
but I mean, it's always next to me, not
Yeah.
giving Stanley too much free plug there. But
Uh-huh. Mine
um,
too. Yeah.
with that said,
Yeah.
first of all, I will let you know I've had quite a few guests on this podcast specifically that are all runners. So I will
Mhm.
be messaging them all immediately saying you need to try out N-2 water.
Mhm.
Secondly, because I'm meeting so many runners, I'm feeling like I need to start like the wild party race at some point.
I love
I don't
it.
know. It has to. Okay. For me, I don't do anything that's less than 6 miles. So it would have to be at least 10K.
Okay. All right.
Because I mean, there's no use in me sweating for 3 miles. That just doesn't work for me. So at least a 10K, but there
Let's do
might
it.
have to be like a sponsored wild party, podcast race, and all of the guests come out and we all have a great day and we all
Yeah.
try each other's products and it would be
Love it.
awesome. Are you in?
I'm in, and I will bring N2 for everybody. I'll keep us all hydrated, but I would be there in a second. I'll bring my daughter and she can yeah, she can run alongside. I joke around
Well,
her, yeah,
she'll clearly win the race,
I was just
but
gonna say
that's
her
fun.
her like easy days are like my like tempo, my hard days where I'm getting my heart rate up. And she's like, "Come on, mom." But yeah, no, it's fun. It's so fun to have someone out there to run alongside. So yeah, it's good. Love it.
Absolutely. And before I let you go, because we are coming to the end of our time, please tell everyone listening out there and watching the video on YouTube where they can find N2 Water online.
Yes, it's www.n and then there's the dash two water.com. Yeah, so we did N-2 because honestly too we were advised this with the trademark N2 is the symbol for nitrogen and they're like that might be iffy, so we do N-2 water. So Yes, into water.
Excellent. Everything's a learning process. And I have learned so much from you. Thank you
Oh,
so much, Mary, for being on the show. You have been a wealth of knowledge, and I've truly enjoyed our conversation. And hopefully, some point soon, we will get to meet in person.
love it. Looking forward to it. Thanks so much for having me.
Thanks for listening to the Wild Party Podcast. If you're an entrepreneur or professional who would like to be on this podcast, please visit boomtownmarketing.com and click on podcast. We believe that every business has the potential to change the world for good, and we want to support our community to help make the world more ethical, compassionate, and sustainable for all future generations to come. And if you're looking to build your business, no matter what level you're at now, request your free marketing consultation at boomtownmarketing.com and click Get Started.